In a world where podcasting is king, you are listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Who shot you in the ass?
Who? That who would be you.
Me? I shot you?
Yeah.
I mean, I was shooting. Yeah, I did a lot of shooting. I mean, but I ain't saying I shot you in the ass. I mean, I ain't saying I didn't shoot you. But damn! Somebody shot you in the ass.
Tell me about it.
HQ, this is one of your hosts, Neo, and joining me always is the Sobra and the Chris. Guys, say hello.
Good evening.
I'm inspired by the Royal Rumble, which I did not watch. But for some reason, I feel like I just got to get my sports entertainment on. How you guys doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing all right.
I'm alive.
Yeah, that's all you could ask for. I mean, before the eventual relocation to re-education camps, but this is episode 307 of Gundam at MAHQ, and
here's a question for you.
What's that?
Speaking of re-education camps,
Mm-hmm.
if the benevolent dictators allowed you to take one and only one Gundam series to watch with you whenever you wanted in the re-education camps, which one would it be?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, hold on before you two answer, because I want to introduce our special guest that we had. I don't know how many episodes ago, but it's been a while.
Episode 247.
247, so it's been a long
60 episodes.
Yeah, been a minute.
But it's our friends from the Mechanista podcast, Dylan and Six.
Heyo.
How's everybody doing?
Howdy.
I'm good.
All right.
Mostly.
Mostly.
The world happens around me, but yeah.
Life. Hey. All right. So this is Chris's thing. Before you get the notice that you have to report to re-education camp, you can only take one Gundam series. Okay. So is it one series or OVA, or it's just anything that we would want to watch over and over again?
Anything that you want to watch over and over again that's Gundam, but it's just that one thing forever.
Okay. All right.
So I'm galaxy braining a bit here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gundam Age, because I would never want to watch more than one episode, so it'd last me forever.
That is an outside the box answer.
There you go.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
You're
entirely fair.
You're doing what they say, breaking the paradigm.
That's next level thought.
Oh man.
All right. Anyone else?
So I'll throw it out there. I know most people will probably expect me to say Zeta.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm gonna say X.
X, man.
X is just, to me, an eminently rewatchable show, and of all the Gundam shows, really harps the most on finding hope amidst all of the horrors.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take Chris's. Since he left it on the table, I'm definitely taking Zeta. I feel like I'm in the arc at Zeta right now. So yeah. It's the Revolutionaries. It's the Revolutionaries Gundam. So I'm gonna take that shit.
Do you
Except
want
the
That is
Titans
mine.
turned out to be way more competent fascists
Oh, no
than
doubt.
the idiot fascists that we have now.
It'll prepare me.
Yeah.
It'll prepare me for it getting that bad, but it probably won't get that bad. So,
Like, how dumb do you have to be to make Jared Mesa look competent?
right?
That is true.
Boy.
It's very true.
Whew. Tough
All
times.
right.
Me, because we are living it, I think I would take turn A.
Oh, yeah.
That way I have the record of the dark history at all times.
Good
That's
choice.
that's an interesting.
Hey,
take.
otherwise, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm gonna have to say 00.
Oh, shit.
They're the new age revolutionaries.
Mhm.
They did have Space Obama at the end, so there is hope.
Space Obama.
I remember him. So I mean, there is hope on that. I guess the only problem would be is that season 2 is not as good as season 1. But hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, no, I would go for that. Because to me that's like the grown-ups version of Wing. It's like this is what the truly revolutionary part. So maybe that would give me hope to make it through as I'm abstaining on gruel and doing 14 hours a day reading The Art of the Deal or something like that.
Oh, no.
So
There you go.
Age would not exactly prepare me for the revolution. I would not have a lot of enthusiasm left.
no, not at all. So, that's an interesting question, Chris. I mean that's
Well,
a good one.
I'll point to our chat here where Android says, I definitely won't take 0080 in the camp because I don't want to be sad all the time.
Merry
Oh, that's
Christmas.
true.
None but hamburger.
Yeah. Yeah, those a few days you would get hamburger in the cafeteria. You'd be like,
You get Sloppy
man.
Joe. Today's Sloppy Joe Day.
oh man,
Bernie.
it's sloppy Bernie.
Oof.
Yeah.
That sounds like something entirely different.
Ooh.
But anyway,
that sounds like something you find in Urban Dictionary, right?
yeah, I don't want to look that up.
I don't want a sloppy Bernie. All right, so yeah, we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about 21st Century Gundam designs and some of the designers. Because we kind of have an all-star cast, special guest coming in. We're going to forego the news so we can kind of jump into this. And anybody have any special announcements? Chris, Dylan, or Six? Do you got anybody have any announcements for their websites or anything like that?
No, not on my end.
Nothing too special.
Everybody good? Okay.
We'll
good,
tag you up
good.
at the end.
All
with
right.
All of the URLs.
What about you, Bro? Anything? How's the backlog of episodes coming?
It's coming.
I saw some the other day.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will say this. It was very interesting to find out that the new Gundam series is actually a re-envisioning or a what if timeline for Mobile Suit Gundam.
Ooh.
So that's super dope. That raised my interest in it about tenfold. So I'm looking forward to learning more, and I'm sure we're going to talk about the designs for that series somewhere along the line. That's
Definitely will.
probably part of the inspiration for this topic. So
Actually, it was not, but
Oh,
the
wasn't?
timing works out.
yeah, it does work out well.
Because I had this idea last year, so
Oh shit! Okay, cool. And then it's definitely well timed. But yeah, that was a nice reveal to find out after they showed the movie in Japan. So I'm sure that would have been part of the news. Since we're not doing the news, just figure I'd throw that in there as a mention. And I'm sure it's got a lot of people excited. So cool stuff.
All right. Well, Chris, since you said this was your inspired topic, I'm going to hand it over to you, and you'll be the pilot. You're going to be the pilot for the rest of this until we get to the end of the episode. So, take us away.
all right. So we are mostly going to talk to anime, but I did throw in Advance of Zeta for Dylan because I knew they wouldn't be able to help themselves from mentioning Kenki Fujioka.
Oh shit!
So we will have a little sidebar for Advance of Zeta, but just to sort of like set the tone. So, we go into 21st century of Gundam. The 20th century of Gundam ended as it began with Tomino directing a Gundam series, in this case Turn A Gundam, with radically different designs that were quite controversial at the time, as I remember, and some circles still are. And then
Cowards.
we really get into the 21st century of Gundam properly with the debut of Seed in 2002. And in the instance of time, we're going to combine some of these related series together. So we're going to talk about Seed, Destiny, and Stargazer all at once. Seed, your mecha designers were Kunio Okawara, Junichi Akutsu, aka B-Craft, and Kimitoshi Yamane. So Yamane definitely made his mark designing the vehicles for the Earth Alliance and Zaft, and they have kind of a nice futuristic but also still a little modern look. And then the mobile suits were the other two. What really sticks out for me about Seed, and I think some of our panelists would agree, is if you look at the first 5 GAT Gundams from the start of the series, from episode 1, they have a very different look to them than the Sickos Gundams and the Zaft Gundams.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that the initial design for the first 5 GAT Gundams was done by Junichi Akutsu, who would also design the Astrays, and he's done a bunch of stuff everywhere. And they were cleaned up for animation and toys by Okawara. But then the 3 Sickos Gundams and the 3 Zaft Gundams are all Okawara originals, and you can see that quite plainly because there's just something a lot more modern about the first 5 Gundams. Even just, the Strike as a 21st century interpretation of the RX-78 really sticks out compared to all of the later ones that look like they could have been in any of the 90s shows. Like you could just have shoved them in Winger X and they wouldn't look out of place.
Yeah, that's kind of the 90s and even like aughts Okawara problem, I feel, is like when he's designing, I mean, it's not even his fault really, I feel like, but like everyone keeps telling him, hey, make 10 Gundams for a series,
Yeah.
And it's just
there's only so much creativity you can have when you're working that much.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
For any and all creatives, remember, burnout is real.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like, yeah, I would agree. Even though I do hate the Strike Gundam, I would agree.
Oh man!
Tell us more.
Tell us why you hate the Strike Gundam.
Please embellish.
Okay.
Tell us why you're wrong. But that's
okay. This is fair. I just think the Strike, I mean, compared to the other 5 suits, which are already specialized and whatnot anyway, I know that the Strike has the packs. I just think it's kind of boring, though. It's a tricolor Gundam. I mean, it's the lead Gundam, so it has to be like just a standard tricolor Gundam. I get it, and I just don't really. I think the main thing is I just don't really like the head very much. This is my main thing.
I would argue that it's Dual that's boring because in its original configuration, it doesn't do anything.
This
doesn't
is
have
fair.
any special role, and it's not until Zaft puts the Assault Shroud on it, which is their technology, that it gets differentiated.
Okay, but it's also blue and orange, which is a color scheme I like. But I do get what you mean, though. You're not wrong. Whenever I say that the Strike is boring, the Dual is the elephant in the room whenever I bring that up. But
I could see where you think the Strike is boring, because I think the problem in the series is they didn't focus on the other 2 Striker packs as much as they did with the Ale pack. I like the Strike because I like the versatility, and I think the whole concept of different packs, it really took what they did with the original RX-78-2 to a different level, as opposed to just putting weapons on it. It was like, okay, you got these different packs, and because there was a point in the series where it was just Ale pack, and so it didn't, because you have like the kind of the Buster Cannon one, which is I think the green one, and then there's one other one that they barely even use. I forget even. I can't even remember the sword. Yeah. So it was just. I think that's where for whatever reason, when it came to the storytelling, they just didn't use it as much. Yeah. But I mean,
but here's a weird maybe opinion. I like the Strike Gundam. I think it's a great RX-78 redo. I don't like the Striker packs. And when it comes to comparing it to Impulse, I like the Strike's design better than the Impulse's, but I like the Impulse's silhouette packs more than the Strike's strike packs. I think those are way cooler looking, and if you put the Impulse silhouettes on the Strike, I think that would look pretty neat.
Well, part of the thing with the Impulse is the color matching.
Yeah. Because, like, the Strike Gundam with the launcher and the sword just being like, oh, we're going to throw some green and light blue and shit on here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you're making it, like, harder to parse is the thing when you're doing that. Whereas, like, the Impulse, you know, color matches whenever it's doing its thing, and it just looks better.
Well, the sword pack was so weak because it's just the sword and then a little thing that went on, like, the right shoulder. I mean, the boomerang,
beam boomerang and rocket anchor. So it's like, it's kind of a mix and match of stuff that's like not super effective.
Well, that's kind of the other thing is I do wish they just I know it's animation and I know that, like, especially for Seed, it is seemingly on more of a I don't want to say it's like on a budget, but it is kind of on a, you know, it is not
especially
being
all
as
the
like
recycling.
You know, like even when you compare it to contemporaries that are being digitally animated at the time, it's definitely like cut back a little on the budget. So I get you can't go too complicated with it, but the packs are just like not doing as much as I would want, I guess, overall. And like Nero was saying, the thing with the Isle Strike is all that gives them liberty to do is them to do the same static shots of the Strike in the air constantly. Firing
by Aegis.
Yeah. Same launch sequence.
And it's just like I think like it's a weird thing where like I like a lot of non-animated Gundam designs, and usually like I don't get bothered by the animation, but I will admit the animation also just doesn't endear me more to the Strike because
that early digipaint just does not age well.
Yeah, man.
Horrible water CGI. And on the subject of limit animation, I don't know, Dylan and Six, if you were all Gundam fans when Destiny was airing, but there was one episode in Japan that was notorious for a bunch of errors, including having literally the wrong episode number on it. And in this episode, there's a shot where the Force Impulse is flying around, and for a couple of frames, it very visibly turns into the Aeol Strike randomly.
Yeah,
because they were just recycling animation of just a fight over the ocean, which Seed and Destiny love to do, is having fights over the ocean.
Boy, did they!
Over water.
Holy shit!
That's why you always need the Ale pack. Yeah. I mean, Strike was always launching with the Ale pack from the Archangel over the ocean. It's like, wait, I thought they were like in Eastern Europe. No, they're over an ocean, over some type of body of water.
It's just a really big lake.
Yeah.
That's the other problem is because the way they set up the packs is like, okay, here's the extreme close combat, like anti-armor one. Here's the like long range shooter one. Here's the useful one, and you're like, hold up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when you just have the what if the general use one was just better because it can fly now? It's
but you have to remember the theory of the 5 Gundams though, where the other 4 were all specialized, and that was like the commander unit. That would be the one where they could do that. So it's like, you know, I'm not trying to get into the story stuff, but the thing is like, that was what made it kind of interesting. It's like the one that they really wanted. I mean,
Aegis was supposed to be the commander, if I remember correctly.
Was it the commander? Oh, okay.
I hadn't considered that angle before, because I think, part of the reason they end up using...
Which one was Rusty was supposed to go into when he got shot in the face?
Rusty was supposed to steal Strike.
Yeah, that's why I always thought that was the one that was supposed to be the commander one, because I thought he was the commander of the team. So
no, Atherin was. Remember, Atherin was Nepo baby.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because his dad was the chairman of the defense committee,
or whatever he was. Yeah.
Not chancellor yet. At the start, he was just the head of the defense committee.
Good old Rusty.
Oh, poor Rusty, man. I mean,
poor Rusty.
Poor TM Revolution. I mean, he only had like what?
That was Miguel.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought he was Rusty too, wasn't he? Oh no, he wasn't. Oh, that's right, he was. I'm sorry.
We never got to see Rusty. We know about him in retrospect.
Well, you see like a quick
showed
thing of
him
face.
In the special edition.
In the special edition,
him,
Oh shit, that's
a
right.
Frame of him, but I don't even think he speaks, and he just gets murked the second he's on screen.
God damn, Rusty.
So yeah.
Also, Rusty is a name for a dog, not a human.
I know, right?
I know.
He's already a loser.
We named the dog Rusty.
And to be honest with you, I mean, he's like a genetically superhuman. Like, he's Rusty. I mean, you honestly think he'd be on the Botany Bay with Khan? I mean, it's like, no, I'm not gonna have a guy with Rusty. He would Khan would be like, no.
Like in that context, I do get why it makes sense for the strike to be that way.
But I do love the strike. I've built like 3 models of it, and
this is fair.
You can never take it away from me. I still love it. Screw you. You don't know what you're talking about.
This is fair. This is fair.
Nah, it's fine. I get you.
But yeah, but again, it's there's the strike. Then we want to talk about the others real quick. Like, yeah, the duel. I just like the colors on it, but it is kind of boring. You're right about that.
I like the pilot more than I like the Gundam.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even like the Assault Shroud all that much because again, Seed loves when they put stuff on a Gundam that's in a different color, and it's like, oh hey, we threw another blue on here, and I'm like, stop, please.
Here's a different shade of blue.
It's not like the worst, but like, I don't know, the color blocking on some of the suits just ends up being like weird to me because of that. Especially because I know that Destiny is the one that introduces like, oh hey, this is the phase shift that can color change. I think they should have just had that from the start. Like, I think in Seed it's like a phase shift that color changes, but they can't change it on the fly or whatever. Whereas the one in Destiny they can, and that's why the Impulse does the whole thing. I don't care. They should have just came up with with that earlier, so that hey, we can make the Gundams match whatever we throw on them.
Spaceship is such a dumb idea. Like, I had forgotten how dumb that gimmick was until I was watching Freedom last year. It's like, oh yeah, they did this. It's so ugh.
Well, it was it's like you said, it's a gimmick just to show the whole thing with the batteries. Like, that was the whole thing. It's like, oh, okay, now they're
and to sell you merchandise of the phase shift down versions.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so.
The Buster Gundam's a weird one for me because I didn't like it in the show, but I really liked it with like the models and stuff. It's one of the ones that, like, when I see it in more detailed designs, I tend to like more, which kind of is true of all of them.
It grew on me though during the series, and then the special editions. I liked it. I mean, maybe it was the same. It was the same recycled animation every episode of it, putting the two guns together. Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best recycled animation in that show.
Yeah,
play favorites in the trash.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
Blitz was cool. I liked Blitz.
Yeah, Blitz is cool, and then it fucking dies first, so gets the least to do.
Nico loved the piano.
Yeah, he sure did.
To know.
Yeah. 15 years old, loved the piano.
He was 15 years old and he loved the piano.
Great instrument.
And also, the fact that you have to keep editing it to remove all of Kira's responsibility for killing him.
Yeah, that did slowly go away, didn't it?
Anyway.
I think at one point you feel like it's Atherin's fault.
Damn.
It's just like it's so insane that they did that, because it's self-defense. The Blitz is attacking and going to stab him. No one would care, Kira. Why are you like this? And then, even though they've basically edited it so that Nicole falls on the goddamn sword, then they still have to flash back to it in fucking Seed Freedom to be like, oh, Kira still feels bad about this. And I'm like, make up your goddamn mind. Did he kill him or not?
Killed so many Zaf pilots before that he didn't give 2 fucks about.
Why
he's so sad about this kid?
How many
what about
baseless
Pilot
Zaf
number
guys?
5?
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't sad about Marco Morrison.
Did Marco Morrison play the piano? No. Well, then who cares?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't 15. He was over 18. So yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. That is true though. They did edit it down to like Nico tripped in combat, fell on the sword.
and Kira's like actively trying to move the sword away from him. I'm like, man, fuck the HD versions. But like, also, sorry to get too much into the show. Andrew Wallfield Andrew Walfeld also just forgiving. Hey, my wife's dead because of you, but it's okay. You're cool, kid.
I lost an eye.
I lost an eye.
I lost my arm.
He has a cool Cobra arm now, though, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Man, his wife, who didn't get to live because she was also voiced by a singer, so
of course
we're not gonna keep paying those rates.
You're going on tour soon, so we'll just kill you off.
The cross promotion is over.
This is why it's good Shiho never got her voice in, and why now she just gets to appear in the background of everything all the time.
She gets to live because she's not voiced by a musician. Yes, that's her saving
But they
grace.
did plan on it, and
They
had they done it, they probably would have just killed her a little after she said something.
They would have.
All right.
You know, to get back on track about the mecha designs, I really feel like Seed, based on when it came out, it kind of 1 foot forward into the future with those initial 5 Gundams, with all of the ships and vehicles by Yamane, and then it's 1 step still in the 90s with Okawara's Sicko Gundams and the Zap Gundams. And the 3 Sicko suits, like, I don't really care for any of them at all. I just don't find anything appealing.
The only one I
about them.
like is the Forbidden one.
Yeah,
I think I like
the one I like.
Yeah, I like Forbidden, and I think C's got great grunt suits. I like the strike daggers. I love the Astrays. I mean, the Astrays are you know, and there's so much, you know, because we've always seen the tuned down Gundam being the grunt suit, and I think those have been some of the better ones. Even the Zaf suits, you know, the what is it, the Zin? What was the one? The Jin, and then the ones that they had later.
You had the Shigu and the Gates.
The Gates, yeah. Those were bizarre looking suits, but they definitely there was just kind of something special about them. And then, of course, like you said, Chris, the vehicles. I mean, the Archangel was a great vehicle. You know, some of the Zaf ships were pretty good. You know, of course, the Mobius Zero was a unique, you know, and then the Sky Grasper. I mean, once again, that whole thing you said earlier of like something that looks kind of from our time, but then futuristic. You know, it's like it's an F-15, but it's got, you know, it's like, no, but it's more than that. So, you know.
And as Yahtzee points out in the chat, yes, the Gates was a fan design from a contest that was then cleaned up for animation by Okawara. I believe it was like some teenager who designed the initial version of the Gates.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, the Gates is probably my favorite Zaft one of the show. It also gets like no love in models or anything, and I'm always sad about that. But then, the thing with like I find the Zaf suits to be all right. Some I like more than others. The only thing that ever makes me sad is when I see like the concept designs for Seed. I was kind of mentioning this earlier, but like a lot of the concepts that Okawara did that are a little fancier, I think, are like have a bit more like personal identity to them. Now they're a little bit more detailed than what they want to do for the animation. So you know, that's probably why they don't get to exist after that.
Yeah, everything gets a little flattened for animation and toy considerations. And one thing for those who don't know that Okawara often does when designing mobile suits is he says that he does papercraft versions to kind of like help him visualize in 3D how it'll look.
Nice.
Like, just throwing them in the chat here just to throw them somewhere. But, like, here's some of, like, the early versions of the Jin. And, like, I think the thing I like on these is specifically, like, they all have, like, the weird spider jaw thing going on all of them. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's just something that's, like, a design through line that would have been cool to keep, and they kind of don't. Instead of them just being, you know, in the end, they're just, all the Zaf things they're mono eyes, right? That's, like, their defining thing. And I guess they have the big head crest.
See that one particular one, the fourth one, that is the one that's closest to what we actually got.
Yeah.
But I like the first one because it's like everything, the gun's like even integrated into it. Like I think it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
So
and it's not like the final one's bad. It's just that thing where like my brain just unfortunately is like, oh shit, now I know about these though, and I'm like, man, I kind of wish they went with these. Can't unknow it. But I will say Kimitoshi Yamane's vehicles, they're all pretty good. I like the I mean, the Mobius Zero is cool. That's the thing. Ultimately, that's like my favorite one of them for the vehicles probably. The Mobius Zero is fucking cool. It's like it's a little
cool.
ship that has bits. What more could I want?
No, yeah.
Even his, mobile, the regular Mobius, which is just like the ball seed, is pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, Seed's got great grunt vehicles. Like, great mobile armors and great mobile suits for the grunts. I mean, the Strike Daggers, it's like that first episode where they come out and you can see the Strike Daggers, it's like, oh, wow, these are actually pretty cool.
They are.
Yeah.
Yo, real quick, yes, shout outs over on Twitch. Kyrie Page writes, my favorite part of the Mobius is when they go, it's Mobian time, and then mobed all over those guys.
Of course.
Shout outs to Mo.
Who could forget that famous scene?
It's Mobius time. Moose said it right before he got killed and then resurrected.
And then we forget that it never got destroyed until it got destroyed in Destiny.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we still got this thing in the back. It's like in the back room of the Archangel. It's like they put it by like, the extra toilet paper and bottled water. There's the movie.
Also, real quick, Robin over on Twitch writes, I agree with Chris on the Strike and Impulse comparisons. The packs in Destiny were better in terms of how they were integrated. Also, the base dual Gundam is pretty much bland and such. Damn. Well, I mean, I like the dual Gundam. The dual Gundam had the armor, right?
Yeah, sounds strong.
Yeah. That's the better side of it. I ultimately with Seed, if you're just talking about Seed strictly, I think that the Strike is timeless. I had a conversation with Shoji Romuro the other day because he was shitting on the Zeta as always. We were watching a YouTube video of Jabi reviewing his build of the latest Zeta Gundam model, and he said, I don't know why you like that. This is the ugliest fucking mobile suit there is out there. And of course we got into it, but he got into talking about how great the Strike is. He actually has a model of the Strike Rouge. But I think it was cheaper to get the perfect grade of that, so he built that and has it in his room. And he was just talking about how sleek it was and all that shit. And it was like, yeah, I can't beat that.
But the Zeta has a cooler head.
Oh God, the Zeta to me, I love the skirt on it. And of course, I'm a basic bitch, so I love transforming Gundams. So if it transforms, I'm on board, and I'll admit that. But yeah, I think the Strike is timeless. I think the what's the name of the ship in that series? Archangel. Yes, I think that it's not called the Pegasus class in this too. I'm sure it has its own indicator, but Archangel class.
It's Archangel class.
Archangel class. Got it. So it's the first of its kind.
Yeah.
When it comes to ships, it's one of my favorite designs because it takes like elements of like the white base and the Argama, and it does its own thing with it, and it does a really nice job. And to see it go in freedom was something. It hurt a little bit to see it finally get put to rest, but it definitely served its purpose throughout this series and the next. And yeah, I've got probably more to say about Destiny than I do.
I guess that's what we got to kind of go to on Seed is we're missing the freedom, we're missing the justice.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the Providence at the end. Yeah. Outside of, because we've mentioned the GAT series, the
freedom suits, is amazing, by the way. Yeah.
The and the druggy suits are what Chris says, the sickos. I guess he's.
Out of the druggy suits, I wasn't crazy about them, but I did like the Raider mainly because it transformed. But I thought it was the coolest out of the three.
That was so Zeta Gundam looking.
Yeah,
it was. It was like the. Not the Gabaldi, but what was the other bug-looking one that was in
Gaplay?
Gaplay.
Yeah. It actually reminded me a lot of the way.
It was like a more angular Gaplay.
The way it was in his mobile suit form, it reminded me a lot of a Seeker from Transformers, like Skywarp or Thundercracker or Starscream. That's just gave me that first impression of that. That's probably the reason why I gravitate to that out of the druggy suits. The other two can go kick rocks. But anyway, that's enough for me.
Forbidden was cool. So cool. It was even in even in the Astrays. Like the blue version.
Oh, fair.
Of it was even super cool.
Oh, and the Astray's dope too. I do dig the Astray.
Yeah, the
especially
Astrays are great.
Logal's Astray and Guys are probably, of course, the best of the two. But that kind of ventures into their own series. But yeah.
When it comes to like the Freedom, Justice, and Providence, the Freedom, I mean, I think the Freedom's good. Most antipathy I have with the Freedom is because they keep iterating on the damn thing, and I don't like any of the later ones as much. I think the original Freedom's good.
The original Freedom.
Rising is actually the best iteration post original Freedom, I think.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that, but I still don't like it is the problem. But I think I do agree with that statement, yeah.
I have to try to separate my dislike of the pilot from the suit, and for me, like, I've kind of come around on the Freedom in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But initially, like, I disliked it because I felt it just had too much of Double X in it.
Oh, wow.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's not the reason why I like it.
It was the great equalizer.
Yeah.
I mean, it was you know, it was geese in the end. I mean, it was like it was the top tier. I always loved it because I just loved the way it looked and everything like that. Wasn't too great when it merged with the Meteor packs. I'm like, I don't know about that because I always felt like the Meteor packs felt like they were like they ran out of money for the development program.
They were overkill on a suit that was already overkill enough.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have these giant beam sabers that are cutting, you know, fleet warships in half, and I mean, come on. So, and they have you know, they have nuclear reactors that can be used because they have the neutron jammer catalog.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Yes.
And then you've got the Justice, which I wish I liked the Justice more. I don't like super hate it, but I definitely just don't think about it very much.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Is kind of
I
the
don't love
problem.
the gimmick.
The gimmick.
Oh, it stands on its backpack. Okay.
Yeah, the backpack being a jet that comes off the back and it just stands on it. I'm like, well, okay, but isn't the whole point of it cooler when it has it like as a backpack? Isn't that the point of like having the backpack that looks like a plane? Like when you just have it come off and you're riding it now I'm just like, well, I don't know. It's just not.
Well, now
not
it's
my
literally
thing.
just the X-wing in the newest version, so you know it's all good, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll get to that eventually.
Yeah. Providence has bits, so I like it. That's the one where I like suits, though. I like suits with bits, and I'm like, oh. Now, the Providence in the show I don't like, and again, it's one of those ones that, like, oh, they made a very detailed version of it with the Master Grade. Of course I like that a lot more now.
Yeah, the model of it is much better. I liked it in the show, but I'd seen the model of it, and you're right, it does look so much better in model
all those
form.
models cleaned up by B-Craft, so you know, they look that much nicer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, and then you know the Meteor packs. I agree though. The Meteor packs are kind of they're not really the start of this because I'm like thinking on it, and it's like the G Falcon and X is kind of this too, but I like the G Falcon, so I don't want to include it here. But like, I don't really like the Meteor.
Really was just more the G Fighter modernized for the 90s.
Yeah.
Rather than like a big giant set of guns and swords.
The Meteors though, and like we'll get to it, but even like the GN arms, I'm not usually a big fan of just like the mobile armor that a mobile suit docks with in a very basic way. You know? As a weapon, it's just not my thing, really.
But the GN arms though had the King piloting it though, so
this is fair.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. But yeah, like the late C designs though, definitely like the Freedom is probably the best of them. But the Providence is probably my favorite of them. And then like. I mean, we already talked about the Druggies, yeah. I like the Forbidden. It's kind of neat. The Calamity and the Blitz, or not the Blitz, the Calamity and the Raider. For
Calamity
me.
was stupid. I didn't like the Calamity. I liked the Astray version of it, and I forget what pilot had that one, but the because you find him in that one game that Z
Sword
versus
Calamity.
Sword Calamity, yeah. That one I thought was better than That was better than
That is a more interesting variation, yes.
Yeah, that's the better one with that. But the Calamity, I was just like, ugh, no. And Raider, I'm just like, oh man, this was this a reject from Zeta? Because it seemed like it found its way back into the into the rotation.
The Raiders' problem for me is, one, the head looks like it has a ball gag, and I hate that. And then two, when it goes into the flight mode, it has like the bird claws, and I'm just like, this transformation kind of like, it's every Okawara transformation. No offense to Okawara, but because the man, I don't want to like decry him, but he doesn't really do a lot of different transformations all that often.
You sure don't.
And the Raider,
very similar to Wing, and he likes to do like tucking in legs and arms and like spreading wings and put a shield somewhere and just call it a day.
Yeah, and then like the legs sometimes will do the riding thing of bending back at the knees, and which is like a classic. Everything has done that. The Billbind does that. The riding, the Raider, etc. But like, and the Zeta does that. Now that I think about it, but.
I will say
I don't know.
Okawara's worst transformation is the Bobby from Destiny. Like, that is just
awful. Yeah,
it's just
fuck that thing.
Horrendous. Yeah, that thing is awful.
What if the legs just folded back over the head and we did absolutely nothing else? Yeah,
nothing else. Yeah.
That one I don't like. But yeah. Overall though with Seed, yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag for me, and I've had a lot of reappraisal on the designs, though, because of, like, models and stuff. Like, I like it when they are more detailed, I guess, is my thing. Because I like my robots to be detailed. And a lot of the Seed guys, just because of when they are introduced. And again, I think Sunrise maybe did just kind of, like, hold back on what they were giving Fukuda with that show. Because, even, like, other shows of that era, like King Gainer is also 2002.
Yeah.
It's got some wacky shit in it.
But it's also a really good-looking show for a Digipaint show,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
man.
Yes.
They get the hang of it.
That's the same year as Seed, which is, a 4x3, but also still Digipaint nightmare when it comes to the animation. And, the animation just didn't endear me to a lot of them, but in retrospect, I liked a lot of them a bit more. And yeah, a lot of those, the detailed up ones, though, Chris mentioned it, but those are Junichi Akutsu, B-Craft. He, did the original designs, then they got simplified for the shows. Then he, like, greebled them out for a lot of them, like, modern model kits and stuff. And I think he did a good job with that. So yeah.
So I think we should get into Destiny. For me, Destiny was more of a mixed bag than Seed, because Akutsu was not involved at all. So you had Okawara as the primary designer on the Gundams. Impulse is okay as far as RX-78 stand-ins go. Like I said before, I like it less than the Strike. My favorite Gundam in Destiny ended up being Savior,
yes,
which made me very sad to see it get sliced and diced, because Kagali was sad.
Oh, yes.
Kagali is
Destiny,
fine.
I don't care for in the animation.
I don't.
I think the cleaned up MG looks so much better. All the other Gundams to me don't stand out, especially the new sickos. Don't really care for Destroy, or Legends, all right. And I feel that the Zap suits,
I didn't like.
Yeah. The New Millennium series, I really feel aesthetically, this has always been my contention, is a step backwards from the Zap suits of Seed. Because as we know, the Jin basically was Zap's Zaku.
Yeah.
So like, if you're gonna literally make a Zaku, that looks less advanced than the Jin. They all look less advanced than the Jin, Shigu, and Gates.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense aesthetically.
No. Technology-wise either. No, it just doesn't. It doesn't look like the next step of the technological. Because as you develop your technology, you should be sleeker and stuff like that. And it's like you got these big, bulky. I mean, I liked the Rick Dom, but I liked it in Mobile Suit Gundam.
I mean, I feel like
You
there's
know?
an argument to be made that like they're bulking up, like design-wise, you could see like a setting, a context in which they're like we're bulking up to like provide better protection against electronic warfare and to sort of have more survivability.
Maybe.
But we all know that's not what happened to the show. These still are erased with a single beam rifle shot. So.
Yeah.
Often in the same footage as their seed counterparts.
And once
slightly
again,
tweaked.
though, the Murasame, what I think was a good that to me is one of the standout suits in the.
That is a standout. I forgot to mention.
Yeah,
that.
I mean it's a grunt suit, and I feel like it was better than the freaking Gundams. I mean, to be quite
kind of
honest,
a grunt Zeta.
Yeah, outside of the Xavier, and I like the Impulse a lot, to be honest. I love it in all its forms. Because I just think it's like a Swiss Army knife suit, like the Strike was. But my favorite suit is the Murasame in this series. It is. If you had to ask me to pick a grunt suit from any series, it would be the Murasame, straight up, and not just because it transforms. It just looks cool. It's the closest thing in Gundam to me.
Not the Space Leo.
No, definitely not that. But I like the Murasame because it reminds me a lot. Even though I'm sure it doesn't look one for one, it reminds me a lot of the Valkyrie from Macross. And it's it's not as cool as the Valkyrie, but it's the closest thing in Gundam, I think, to the Valkyrie. So I'll definitely take it.
I've seen Murasame's painted in Skull Squadron colors, Roy Fokker colors.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. Plus, Andrew Wolfeld flew one, and he has his own. So that already is an endorsement. DT custom, baby. That's my shit. With the reverse wings, I'm good. I'm ready to go. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing about that show. I mean that was the. I mean, there's so many disappointing things of that show, but it's like it's like holy crap. I'm like, I like the grunt suit more than it's like I always have a favorite grunt suit, but it's like I'm always gonna find a Gundam that's gonna be that much better. And it's like I actually felt like the Murasame was the lead suit. I mean, even the Gundam wasn't bad, even though it was just like a different paint scheme and like a different visor on the Strike Dagger. I felt like the Strike Dagger was a better version, and the Gundam was just like Strike Dagger with an ale pack. And I'm like, okay, I've seen the ale pack enough in that recycling animation, and even in this show, and Kira dusted off the Strike.
I do have a special place in my heart for the Infinite Justice as well. I love it more than the regular Justice. I just for some reason I in this show was really vibing Atherin and all the things he piloted. So yeah, the Infinite Justice for me is the better version of the Justice, I think, and maybe I'd stand alone on that, but I do like that a lot.
I kind of share a lot of these same sentiments, so I'm like thinking, what is different for me? I guess I want to shout out in a negative way, the Akatsuki is always awful to look at. Now, Sam, the worst part is I don't actually think the lines for the design, just if you were to see an uncolored line art of the design, I don't think it is bad. But they apply the worst possible gold over it at all times in both the standard definition and in the HD versions of the show.
It looks weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks trashy.
It's like a 3D texture.
It might as well be leopard print.
Yeah, might as well.
Over the whole thing, and it is god awful, and it makes me sad because I'm like, if I were to just see the lines, the head is interesting. I like the kind of big shoulders and stuff, but then it's just bad to look at.
Yeah, it's no Hayakushiki, man. It's no Hayakushiki for real.
Definitely not.
It's definitely not.
I know Okawara was probably trying to kind of reinvent it in some way, shape, or form, or it had the spirit of it in there, but nah, not at all.
Yeah. and then even oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with the Impulse, I kind of like just as. I know that it's not doing this necessarily, but I think of it and my brain goes, "Oh, it's a victory," because it's got the legs, the legs flyers separate and all that.
Absolutely.
And now I like the victory more, but I think the Impulse is all right. The Gaia Chaos Abyss, though, Chaos is all right, but that's my bias of liking weird bits on mobile suits. I don't really think about the Abyss. The Gaia turns into a dog, which is kind of fun, I guess, but eh.
Yeah, you're right. The
Ultimately.
Abyss. The
And then end
Abyss.
up
I
in
haven't.
Andrew's hands again.
Hell yeah.
The Abyss. I don't even think about. Like that's the funny thing.
This is the most like non-entity
Yeah.
Gundam in
We
that
made
series.
we made an aquatic Gundam in a show where we're not like
We'll never.
we're
be
not
in the
gonna have
sea.
that many aquatic battles, and then when we do, it gets I mean, he dies pretty early if I remember right. So because he's
Yeah,
like
they
the
all
first
did,
out of
yeah.
the 3 to get killed.
He is,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. The Saber's cool. So
He
there's that.
should have showed up in Seed. There was more water battles.
Yeah.
You had been able to do something. And of course, I will always say I despise the red Lunamaria Zaku.
Yes!
It's just,
You know, it
love-
disgraces Char. Yes,
Those
he's sad.
The besmirching.
I was very sad. Besmirching.
Let other
Yeah.
people have red.
I do have
It
other
can be
people
shared.
have red. Like I shared in a text with Solbro earlier, there's a new red comic coming on March
like-
14th
I
of this
like
year.
the
There's a
big
new red
gun.
comic.
You mean Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah, he's in Ferrari Red. He's
That's
the new red
right.
comic.
Yo, man.
So
He's the new red comic. He's today's red comic.
But yeah, like otherwise though, I find a lot of the grunts and stuff in Sea Destiny unremarkable though. Yeah, I mean, other than thinking the Bobby is like the worst thing ever.
Oh god, no.
Oh yeah, the Murasame is all right. Yeah, I think I like the Astray a little more still. Ultimately,
Oh yeah, if you're gonna compare them, yeah.
yeah.
But,
I mean, I can't help but do that, right? Because I mean, they're both like the orb,
yeah.
you know, basic guys. But you know, for a new one, the Murasame, yeah.
Transform though. I mean, transformation does give it like, and it has a cool transformation, so it always gives that little bit more on the. You get a little bit more points on that one, so it's like,
fair.
but it transforms.
But yeah, then the Zaku though, the Dom,
Ugh.
the Goof might be the best out of them, but again, that's not saying much. Oh, you know what? I will say the Gelsky is pretty cool. The weird spider thing that the has the strike dagger for the.
Oh
body.
yeah, man.
That thing's pretty
Oh
cool.
man, wow. Yeah,
Just 'cause it's fucking weird.
Weird mobile armors that very like kind of 70s looking mobile armors that
Yes.
The Alliance decides to like randomly get into for a little bit.
Yeah, the Gelsky I think is pretty good. And then what is the other one?
The Zamzaza.
Yeah, that one's
Looks like a
fine.
big, weird crab.
I mean, they're
Oh,
weird
yeah.
enough that they just stick out, you know. Oh, and then in the YouTube chat, someone asked about the Ash.
Oh, Mecha-san. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the Ash again? Oh, yeah.
The underwater suit that tried to assassinate Lacus.
Yeah.
In the dumbest plan in the entire show, because had he not done that, no
Sent
one
in
would have
some
bothered
old
him.
Suits. Yes.
Literally had
don't
no
send
one-
the top of the line Zap suit to assassinate the princess.
It's insane to me because I'm like, what does it? She's not even against Durandal at this point. Are they just doing this because they need to show that he's bad? Like, because if not, she and Kira would have just sat in their goddamn orphanage, just being sad about everything for the rest of the show.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
And like the thing with Durandal is like he's like, you know, they always play up this like chess master aspect, but like sending those to kill her was the dumbest thing. But it's not like dumb in the this is his character flaw way. It's dumb in a way where I'm just like, this show is messily written way.
Yeah. Why poke the tiger? I mean,
anyway, the Ash is kind of ugly. It's no Goon. I love the Goon. That's like, if we want to talk about like Zaft, I did forget to bring them up for Seed, but like, we're talking like Zaft aquatic suits. The Goon's great. It's got a goofy name and it's shaped funny. So
Especially in the modern context. When you say I love the Goon, that means
Whole different meaning.
fucking Zaft names. I'm just like staring at it where it's like GOO
Especially-
lowercase HN.
some, you know, random capitalizations mixed in with non-capital. It's so dumb.
But anyway, yeah, like I said, it's, you know, Destiny, it's like not anything too exciting. It's got one less designer on it, you know, so it just ends up being more of the same.
It felt like a step back and just a recycling of what was in Seed and then just old ideas from prior Gundam shows. I never felt like it. It never blew me away. So
yeah. I guess for Yamane in that show, there is like the one. I think there's like one ship he does in that show that I also like. That's like a grunt ship. I can't remember though.
He did do some nice updates on the Alliance ships with the mobile suit catapults, and I did like the Agamemnon class a lot in Seed, and in Destiny, I do like the Gritty Lou. I think it's a cool looking enemy ship.
It is a good enemy ship, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. What was like the ship that Neo piloted at the
Exus, the mobile armor?
Okay,
which for a while was officially spelled as X-Ass.
No way.
Yes.
Okay. That one's kind of fun. You know, like, and I think that's
it was a callback to the Mobius. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing though. It's a sleeker Mobius, so it's hard to not, you know, like it. But yeah, that's all I got for Destiny, really, though.
Yeah, does anybody have any additional comments on Destiny before we jump into Stargazer?
Just watch the first 13 episodes.
That's it, and then move on.
That's my other comment. You said any comments on Destiny?
Got him.
Move on with your life.
Yeah. It was the thing that Chris told me years ago. Just watch the first season of Heroes and nothing more.
That's all you need.
And that's all I've ever done. Yeah. So I like
Great one-season show. It only ever had one season. No modern streaming revivals. Nothing.
And I'm the only person on planet Earth that likes Heroes because I just watched the one season. People say, "What do you think of Heroes?" Oh, it's amazing. Are you sure? Yeah. So.
All right. Who even worked all on Stargazer?
So we have here Kenki Fujioka, Okawara, Yamane, and Akutsu.
Okay, what did Fujioka do on Stargazer, Chris? I'm curious.
That I don't know. I don't have all.
Because there's not that many suits in it. Is the thing.
Might have been a vehicle.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
As far as the suits go, you know, this is a very short ONA, so a lot of just recycled designs from the TV series. The Stargazer itself, kind of just a generic Okawara Gundam with the Stargate attached to it. Like that's not very special.
Okay, but it does do green rings.
It does do green rings, which is kind of cool. But I do like Earth Alliance updates with the Strike Noir Blue Duel and Air Day Buster, and of course the War Crimes Slaughter Dagger.
Oh yeah,
that has built-in foot machine guns for your War Crimes needs, which is an interesting idea.
Yeah, after you destroy the mobile suits, when you have to murder the refugee camp, it's better just to have the foot Gatling guns as opposed to just getting out and doing it. So
you don't have to bother stepping on them and getting blood and guts on your mobile suit.
Exactly.
Just use the foot machine guns.
Yeah, evil Earth Alliance Asanage thanks you for not having to rinse down the foots. You can just, shoot them with your foot Gatlings. So
easy to clean.
Yeah. I like this. I like that strike, but yeah, it is a murder machine. It is an interesting thing of having it in that black and gray. And I think that's what really makes all the variations of the strike so interesting is like the different color combinations do make it. But that one, it's like, oh man, this is the hero suit, and I'm watching this. It's like you see it in the black and the gray kind of thing, and you're like, oh okay. And then once you see the the Gatlings, and then like, okay. Then it kind of sets you back a little bit. It's like, oh, I love this suit, but then I can see it perverted into being just a mass murder machine. So,
yeah, I gotta say the Strike Noir is my favorite suit. My favorite strike in all of this particular corner of the Gundam universe. I actually so much so I enjoy using it in Extreme Versus, although it costs like 2,500, which is it's like mid expensive, but it has a lot of usage, and the weaponry in it I think is just, it makes it amazing, especially in maneuverability. But I love the design. It's just got this kind of gothic medieval ass design to it. It's almost like a vampire version of the strike, and that's what I like about it the most.
Yeah, it's
answer Dylan's question. What did Kenki Fujioka do? He did the Kerberos Buku Hound.
Oh hell yeah. Okay, I will have to bring that one up. And I guess I feel bad now that I think about it, because we didn't really bring up the Buku and the other one in Seed, the Lego. Yeah. Those are actually pretty fun. I will say, like, even the old ones, like those are Okawara, right, for the originals?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think Kerberos is a better version of those dog suits, which I'm not that big of a fan of.
See, I think they're fun.
It reminds Chris too much of Zoids.
Harassment I used to get about, you need to have a Zoid section. Yes, I have the Zoids PTSD.
Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You should though, because I can't ever find art for it. So I guess that's the
argument
problem,
people used to use.
I guess this is the problem, right? Given that I usually have been sending you a lot of art for like random shit, if I can't find it, I don't know if it exists for a lot of the art also. You know, fuck. But yeah, the Kuros is fun though. The Strike Noir though is, that's a strike I really like. Like it, you know, on one hand, it's easy to like look at it.
Murder machine.
Yep. And
you
like,
look. No, just kidding.
Look. Mobile suits were never made to make people happy.
I know.
I have to quote the one guy in 0080. But yeah, no. I mean, the thing about it is,
a cool suit.
On one hand, it you know, it has the edgy color scheme. On the other hand, I like all the like little bits of yellow on it, like on the shoulders and the backpack and stuff, because they just kind of like are very striking in contrast to all the gray and black. The other thing is it has 2 pistols, and that's cool. And then the other thing is it's got like weird whisker vents. Like the vents are, you know, on the cheeks, kind of like the Chaos Gundam also does this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it looks cooler here. He's been trying. The thing about Okawara is he had been trying to do that since the original Gundam, because like, you know, there's some sketches of the original Gundam. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yo,
I've got my one art book ready.
Didn't the Death Size also have that too?
The whiskers?
I could be wrong. I have to take a look at it. But
I don't think it did.
Yeah, maybe just I'm confusing it because of the color scheme. So if anything, forget I said it.
But here, threw it in the chat, like this early art of the first Gundam from 1979. You can see that he used to kind of he seems to have wanted to do that on a lot of designs. There's also some like Mark IIs he did that were early Mark IIs that also have the cheek vents like that. But yeah,
I'll say I do like using Strike Noir in Extreme Versus. It's a fun suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the hook. Harpoons. Yeah, it's got the harpoon. Yeah, that's the coolest thing about it to maneuver. That's my shit. I love it so much.
And then you do that so you don't touch the ground, and then you keep doing the barrel rolls with
with the guns.
It's great.
You know it. That's my shit. I love it, man. Yep. I want to play it now. I haven't played it so long. Shit.
But yeah. Then yeah, the Verde Buster, the Blue Duel, both are pretty good. Like, you know, the Blue Duel is just what if the duel had the Assault Shroud stuff built into it. So I'm, you know, it's a bit more elegant than that, so I like it. Too bad it gets got like immediately.
but quite brutally getting eaten by a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's
the way those visuals look.
Those cats lost.
The Verde Buster is fun though. Yeah. I mean, again, it's just a Buster that is more detailed and kind of cool, and I like the armor. You know, having like the more green on it is cool. Especially because
that has an idiot pilot.
I feel like we don't really get like. There's a couple of Gundams we get it on. I feel like we don't really get green on Gundams all that often though. It's like the Leopard is like the one that comes to mind. And like Dynamis and like some of the later, you know, the whole lock-on family of suits, but it's just not a color I regularly think of, especially with like older when you start going far enough back.
In green, yeah. I don't think so.
Oh, one other Seed Stargazer one, just to shout it out real fast. The Civilian Astray. That thing's cool. It's weird. It's an Astray with like a biker helmet.
Yeah, I love that. That's so neat. And Leon Graves colors is pretty cool too. I love that purple. Nice.
Yeah, that one's a fun one. I mean, again, it's an Astray wearing a biker helmet. It is meant for civilians, so it doesn't actually have any weapons, and you may basically just watch them get slaughtered. But they look cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, but you know what the funny thing about it is we've talked about everything but the Stargazer. That's the funny thing. It's like the Stargazer.
It was a generic Okawara Gundam
so
with the Stargazer to it.
Yeah, it is so generic, and yeah, you're right.
The thing is, when I'm playing a game or something, I like it because I think the green ring shit is fun.
It could be a tricky suit to fight against too. So I give it props.
When I look at it, you know, no, it's not super exciting. It has kind of a cool head.
Yeah.
Like
very
it's
samurai.
got like really big cheek vents and like a weird forehead camera. But like, you know, it is still, you look at it though, and that's shaped like an Okawara Gundam.
Yeah.
You know. That's yeah. All right. Well,
anybody have any other comments on Stargazer before we move on from Seed?
Yeah. No.
The fucking hour of Seed or whatever.
I do advise when we do go into the other ones, let's just talk about them as a whole. When we go like the 00 and everything, and we can mention what we're referring to, what it's from, within the confines of 00 or whatever. But that'll allow us to kind of like streamline each of the other sections as well.
Problem of having, especially us on this show.
It's understandable.
So I can't profess
you
my
come
love.
to realize how. Sorry, go ahead, Neo.
No, I was just gonna say when we get to 00, I can't profess my love for the Exia.
Of course.
That teaser.
You know, I come to see how it is Mechanista ends up doing so many two-parters because, you know, you just get caught up in talking about stuff and time just flies by.
And I feel bad because, like, someone had mentioned it, you know, there are a couple of unique ones that we missed out on talking about, but it's like, man, fuck, these shows have a lot of designs, and if I go through them all, I mean, you know, when we do Mechanista, we roll a mobile suit, and we can turn, like, one little family of mobile suits, like, that's only a suit and a couple variations into like an hour long, you know?
And that's the problem with these shows, is that they'll show them and then they'll have like the special edition and they'll sneak some mobile suit in the background. Everybody's like, oh, that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And then they want you to talk about that. So, yeah, I mean...
And the worst part is I will. That's the thing. I will talk about it.
You definitely will.
We are, unfortunately,
sometimes you have to. Because
the whole show is about this.
Where was that whole thing?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So we're gonna detour back to the UC because another thing that caused a lot of waves at the same time that Seed was premiering was Advance of Zeta, the photo novel and manga series that was a Zeta prequel, hence the name, and this featured a metric fuck ton of designs by Kenki Fujioka, sort of prototyping pretty much every fucking thing that you see in Zeta early on. And I will turn it over to Dylan to tell us about what sticks out about Advance of Zeta.
Man.
Here we go.
All right. I've got to compress this shit.
I've
got to compress this.
Oh boy.
Okay, so the thing with AOZ. And a lot of people sometimes don't like it because they're like, oh shit, this looks too advanced for Zeta. I get it. I've heard it. That doesn't mean the art doesn't slap, so fuck off. But anyway. No, but like, the thing is, with UC stuff, we get so many fucking one-year war stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just over and over with one-year war shit. And getting a series where some artist is like a modern mecha artist who is going all in on doing like Zeta era designs. And to be fair, while it starts off as a prequel, it does end by the end of Zeta. So like a lot of the fancier later shit is like supposed to be concurrent with Zeta. But I don't know. It's just fun to me because we don't really see that like design space explored as much. Like, you know, just getting like Zeta side shit. Like not to the same degree we get One Year War side stuff. The Hazel though, I mean, it's such like a weird utilitarian Gundam, you know.
Which of the 50 versions of it?
Now, yeah, well, this is the thing, right? We were talking about the strike and like having like optional parts. Well, it turns out when you're not designing for animation, you can certainly put a lot of hard points and like swappable parts on a mobile suit is the thing. Obviously, it is not animation friendly to do that. It would be insane to ask anyone to do that. But, you know, but that's the thing. I have a, you know, big affection for AOZ though, because I like the granularity of like the customization on the suits. The Hazel's great, the Woundwart's great. I like all the weirdo prototypes that show up of like, you know, you've got like there's why am I spacing on it? Like stuff like the Icarus pack for the Hazel, which is like doing the virulent thing of, hey, let's just fly by strapping a bunch of engines that point down. And so we can, well, let's see if we can brute force flight. And it doesn't really work out. That's the funniest thing. Even with all the things looking fancy in AOZ, half their backstories are, hey, this kind of sucked, actually. And I also like that about it. It's just like, oh, they did these parts and they tested them. And, you know, the test showed that this sucked. So I guess we're not going to do it, actually. Or we're not going to mass produce it or whatever. Or we have to fix it for that. Anyway, I don't know. I like Kenki Fujioka's art a lot. Again, I need to restrain myself. I don't want to go into it too much, but since it was on the list, may as well mention it. Shoutouts to Kenki Fujioka. He also did designs for like Meteorot Navi. Trying to think of what else. He's not like a huge animation designer. He's done like just like a lot of random stuff like manga, games, toy lines, etc. But yeah,
he does pop up in the MS Igloo, which we are going to mention next.
Right. I also forgot about that. It's weird because he does pop up in shows in this era, but he never makes suits. I don't think it's always like the vehicles.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. Basically, though, I like AOZ's designs, and that's all I'll say on it. More.
As a Gundam fan, I like AOZ. As the webmaster of MAHQ, it annoys me for just having too many fucking designs to always have to keep track of. Yeah. Especially when they retconned the
names and shit.
Names and model numbers and just made things even more convoluted. I do like the Hazel a lot. I like a lot of the updates that Fujioka did to various GMs, like the GM Quell, having that kind of be a reserve unit and spare parts for the Hazel. GM Sniper 3, those are fun. Some of the Woundwarts later on get a little too funky for me, but its base form I think is a kind of interesting design.
Yeah. Also, he still continues to make these to this day because you have AOZ Reboot going on, which
will never end.
Kind of is more fun because it's like post Double Zeta era. So it gets some really weird, interesting, fun like side designs on it. So anyway, just shouting that out. But yeah, I guess we could just move on to Igloo because I don't want to, you know. Oh, Yazi in the chat mentioned Kenki Fujioka did not do those in IBO. In IBO, the mobile workers.
Mixing up with Kenji Teraoka.
Yeah, Kenji Teraoka. Yeah, that's the guy's name.
Right. Different guy.
Yeah. Also, props to Robin. Robin reminded me that what I was thinking of was the Epion in Gundam Wing, which had Vince on the face, not quite the whiskers, but that's what I was thinking of from Gundam Wing. So yeah, if anything, I just wanted to give him props for that. But back to you, Chris.
So Gundam MS Igloo and Igloo 2, just going to group those together, had working on it a bunch of big names: Hajime Katoki, Yutaka Izubuchi, Shinji Aramaki, Kenki Fujioka, Kimitoshi Yamane, and Igloo 2 added Fumihiro Katagai and Takuhito Kusanagi, who I'm not familiar with either of those two. Of course, it is both are one-year war side stories, and I don't think that these do anything particularly new design-wise, because they're trying to keep with that UC one-year war aesthetic, but they definitely did modernize a lot of the old designs to depict them in 3D CG, and some of them look pretty cool. So
yeah, the Zuda rules, and now the Zuda sucks, but it
sucks, but it looks cool.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest successes of Igloo as a design is Igloo has the courage to be like, what if a design was ass? And it's like, hell yeah, the Ogo, this thing is trash. I love it.
Yeah, the Ogo. Oh wait, the Ogo. That's the Kenki Fujioka one, right? Forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Ogo is great because it's like, well, what if Zeon also converted some mobile workers into a weapon, and then it turns out that they suck real bad? And I love that.
What if we sent children out in literal garbage?
And then of course you get the what is it? The Big Rang, which is the Federation calls it the boss of the barrels, which is it's a big row attached to a fucking base basically that houses a bunch of Ogos in it, and it's so goofy. And like, if you're gonna do one-year worst shit, at least go like ham like that, or as Six mentioned, the fact that the things all suck, because that's the whole point of the series is you've got what's his face, Oliver May writing in his journal, oh man, it could have been beautiful, and the spirit of the soldier shined through, and it exploded, and he died every time. Nobody else will appreciate the... And then you have fucking the Hildolfer, which also rules.
Yes.
And it's a tank.
Yes.
Fuck the Hildolfer.
Yes,
Long live
Hildolfer's
the
way
gun
better
tank.
than the gun tank.
No, fuck you. Gun tank lives forever. No, how many versions of the gun tank there is? Screw you.
A million and they're all crap.
The Hildolfer, which is piloted by a guy who's like, I'm from a proud line of tank drivers, and I'm like, when did you move to space? Because
exactly.
I'm like, wait.
And I can't stop popping Tic Tacs. Yes.
I can't take methamphetamine Tic Tacs. It's like, come on, dude.
But yeah, no, it doesn't really do too much. But the original designs in it are fun, I think, and they're all bad in ways that I think are fun because they all have to die at the end.
Well, what was the one that blew up all the time? That was the Zuda, right?
Yeah, the Zuda.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know I'm making y'all like talking about
that was the one you couldn't go past like 88 miles per hour, like right?
Yeah. It's like, we made something that's better than the Zaku. Now, don't make it do things better than the Zaku, because if you do, it shakes apart. But...
Yeah, like, don't go too fast. It's faster than the Zaku, but don't take it past 88 miles per hour, because you're gonna die.
And then Oliver May gets to write in his little book at the end, and he's like, it went so fast, it was beautiful, and then it exploded. And I'm like...
It was like the spirit of Zeon given form as it exploded.
I'm like, Oliver... I want Oliver... This is a joke that some friends of mine have made before. I want Oliver May to be evaluating mobile suits that die in every show. I want him to be writing in his journal.
You should do like the postscript on everything. Like, this battle was great.
Sacrello, it tried.
He could be the popular mechanics of UC.
Oh my gosh. Sacrello, he tried. The brow bro. It was a valiant effort. He saw the errors of his ways before he exploded.
What's that shit? What's that shit? The Janes of the UC?
Oh my god.
Oh no.
That's Igloo, though. It's got a lot of... Looking at the designers for it, every time I see Shinji Aramaki, I'm like, okay, so did he actually make anything, or did he just take credit for something someone else made and then did it in CG? I feel bad saying that, but ever since I found out, like, with that Akimoto Yukimi did the designs for Maddox originally.
Oh,
I'm like, wait, then what the fuck did Shinji Aramaki do? Did he just do like the final cleanup? Why is he the one that gets like basically all the credit?
oh, wow.
I don't know.
That's enlightening.
But yeah, I may be being a little unfair to him, but you know, it's just one of those things where I'm like, huh. I just don't know what he tends to bring to the things, because when I start looking into like a lot of the design works of things he's worked on, it's like, wait a minute. I'm seeing other people credited, and then I see their designs, and I'm like, this is like most of what we saw. But yeah. Yeah,
If there's no more comments about MS Igloo, I want to move us into 00, both the show and the movie.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
So, 00
Space
from
Robot.
2007, the first Gundam TV series animated in widescreen for HD, and it looks it because, 3 years between Destiny and 00, like, it's a hell of a lot of a difference.
Yes, it is.
They finally figured out how to draw things the right way in the
And
DigiPaint
write a
style.
story.
Yeah.
And write a story.
First Gundam series we watched in real time too. No, Destiny kind of, because it was delayed, but 00
I was
like,
watching Seed in real time.
Oh,
but,
okay, right on.
Obviously, 00 is tied to Gundam's birth, so that'll always be in our hearts. But I feel, coming into 2007, that 00 is unabashedly the first true Gundam series of the 21st century in terms of mechanical designs, because Okawara takes a much smaller role designing only the O Gundam, which is meant to be the RX-78 of the 00 world. So, they deliberately wanted him to like retread the old favorites, but then everything else goes in a totally different direction with a whole new generation of designers who kind of now are the veterans themselves nearly 20 years later. So we have on this one Kanetake Ebikawa, who does all of Setsuna suits, Takayuki Yanase, who does all the rest of the Celestial Being Gundams, Naohiro Washio,
did the
who
Thrones.
also does all of the Throne-related suits and the Arch. Kenji Teraoka, who does all of the Human Reform League suits. Hitoshi Fukuchi, who does Union and I think AEU.
Yeah.
And Seiichi Nakatani, who I'm not too familiar with. Maybe that's someone working on vehicles.
The Murderer's Row.
Usually if there's a name I don't recognize, I'm like, that's probably vehicles.
Probably vehicles, yes. I've told this story before, but back in 2007 when I reviewed the first episode of 00, I got a lot of shit for saying that 00 was a breath of fresh air because Okawara had spent the last 15 years just redesigning F91 over and over.
Yeah.
And I still stand by that because, is the guy a legend? Sure. He's worked on so many series that have, earned him the title of Mecha Design Legend. Doesn't mean he's not above criticism, and I think that 00 really was the direction that the franchise needed to go design-wise to like really get out of the 20th century and move forward.
Yeah. Having like a whole new cast of designers was really good for that, because these are all new guys basically, other than
at the time.
Like Fukuchi technically did some stuff in the 90s, but he is not like a main Gundam designer guy. He's like a guy who did some side stuff, so even he's kind of like but yeah, Ebikawa's work is great. The Exia is great.
The Exia is amazing.
And then all the side stuff he does also even better. So, and then same with Yanase. I think Yanase is a great designer. Washio is a fun one appearing here because he's like one of those guys that he didn't do a ton of designs. He did like the Thrones, he did the RK, but he'll be back later. Put a pin in him. He'll be back for IBO. And we'll get a lot more of him there. And it's funny because then when you realize that, it's like, oh shit, okay. You look at a Throne and you look at a Barbatos and you're like, oh, right, I can see this.
Or Goosey and Rebake.
Yeah. Yeah, especially just they're all very, you know, he has a shape language that he uses the same, you know, throughout. But yeah, then yeah, Terioka is an interesting one because Terioka, I think the Tyrans are great. I don't like the heads as much, if I'm being honest, and those
They're
are also
ugly.
him.
Yeah, they're the ugliest design in 00. They're hideous.
But the Tyrans are really fucking cool.
They are.
They are mobile suits that look like they run on fucking diesel.
Yeah, that's a good description.
You know, they just have a very solid, grounded look to them, and you know, in contrast to America in 00, which is all fucking jets, and then Europe, which is all knockoff of the American jets. Like intentionally, you know, that's what they did with like the Enact and all that. Is it's just intentionally like, oh, we have cheaper, you know, flags and whatnot. But yeah. You get a good variety of shapes though too, because you know, everyone is basically designing for a faction, and I think that really helps. There's some later shows that do it, like also, but like having like a devoted artist that isn't just like shotgunning designs out, really is helpful for like grounding like the different development going on, but by all these different groups, you know, and yeah, I don't know, it's really good.
I
everything
I think that's the big thing with the show is it's the first show that you've had where you can see just the different factions have different philosophies and what they're doing with the suits, and you can see that it is just completely different. Because yes, the Human Reform League ones, you're right. That's like the best way to describe them. They all look like they're running on diesel generators. Like it's. I mean, it's like
Tong actually is the predecessor to the Tyran.
Nice.
Runs on fucking gas engines.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's like you just see that, and you just see the difference, and it really just it makes it okay. You got all these different world factions going on, but other shows, it's like, oh, they all kind of have the same technology because everybody stole the same technology, but you're not seeing it here. And then the Celestial Being technology is so much more advanced, and you can see it in just everything that they got. Because I mean, what is it? The Enacts, they're supposed to be like the most advanced type of ones, and they are so outshined. Yeah, they're so outshined. I mean, Graham Aker is like he is the top tier guy, and he just gets stomped.
Yeah,
and it's like it.
Well, he doesn't. That's Patrick in the Enact. Graham manages to hold his own in the flag, and then of course he gets.
But even the
flag
still.
custom.
But even the flags, I mean, they were just so much far beneath the what it was, and it's like that was the thing about this, and I think you're right. This is the first real 21st century Gundam, because this is where you I think the mobile suit designs catch up with the stories, like the story of the shows. The story of the shows are always like these different factions and having these different things with mobile suits, but in the end they all had the same mobile suit technology. I mean, it's like so.
Well, and yeah, also just making sure to have like the different designers also drawing them. It just really, it really drives that home.
Compartmentalizes it.
You look at the Tyran and you're like, yeah, that's not made by the same people who are making the flag, who are making the whatever, and like, I think that's like a just really important, really good thing with the show. The Gundams are all incredibly sleek. They're all very, lots of flat shapes on them. Lots of like, they're not curvy. They're angular, right? There's lots of like just angles on them, and it makes them look more futuristic. Season 2, you kind of lose a little bit of this because, I mean, everyone's caught up kind of at that point.
Yeah,
everyone's using GN drives. And they kind of try to keep you know, the different people designing for the different factions, but I do think the designs kind of flatten out a little bit in season 2. Not that I think the season 2 designs are all bad, mind you.
Mhm.
I just season 1 though just has so much more, you know, unique differences between them.
Yeah.
Whereas season 2, it's like you got Jinxes, you got Heads, and then you got Gundams. And then you have the Gauss suits. Those are pretty cool, actually, like the Gadessa and all that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I agree with Chris. It's very much like, oh, this is like modern Gundam doing like modern sensibilities that I like with a lot of artists working on it. And yeah, it's great.
I think anybody looking at it would see like this series draws a clear line between what came before and what's going to come from now on.
Yeah.
Well, it also helps that Ebikawa and Yanase and Co are all on like basically every future show.
They're like the new veterans, yes.
Yeah.
We'll be hearing about them again.
It's fucked up to think about because I still think of them as being like new, but I know that just because I get into Gundam and I get into Gundam in like 2010, I want to say 2010, 2011.
That's because time is elusive.
And it's like, oh,
Below
fuck,
is
right.
18 years old this year.
Yes.
And these guys have been working on it, almost as long as Okawara was, to the point that they chopped on.
Yeah,
so
that show turns 20 when we turn 20, so that's gonna be
so
something.
weird.
It's so
anybody
strange.
have anything else to say about 00 before we move
Yeah,
on?
I gotta say that this series is a standout for me because I was really blown away by the mecha designs and how they had a signature look on each faction, at least for the most part. And I like that everyone had a different approach with piloting and it just gave you the mobile suits themselves gave you a feeling of how that faction was and how they operated. So they exuded a lot of character in this series, and I think it might be the best example to me of how the mobile suits kind of reflect the mindset and the methodology of the factions that they're involved with, at least in the first part of the show before we get to season 2. But yeah, the Exia is in the Hall of Fame for certain. I have a big love for the Curios, of course, because it transforms, but it's probably out of all the suits, it was my favorite one to build when I used to build Gundam models at work. I'm actually looking at the box on the top of my bookshelf right now, which has it in there, and I would often just transform it while I was working in the call center that I was in when I built it on the job. But yeah, the Curios was always cool, and then later on with its successor. But yeah, this show it warms my heart because I have a lot of fond memories of watching it, even though some people hate series season 2, but I think season 2 kept up the tradition as best as it could. The 00 is a fantastic suit, by the way. I definitely love that as well. It's, of course, nothing beats the Exia, but I think the 00 was a nice upgrade, regardless. But yeah, fantastic series with great art. I think it had a murderer's row of designers, and that's all I've got.
Oh, go ahead.
I also want to shout out, I think the Thrones don't get a lot of attention, but there's some really cool design work on them.
Absolutely.
And also, my favorite of the lot is the Estrella Type F. I love the Estrella. I'm also a Von Spock sicko, though, so probably you can't trust me.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Fucking
Spock.
00 side media, with just going off the
strange
rails
signal.
immediately.
Yep.
Well,
So moving.
I will say the only thing I'll say on this is that it is the first of the teams that really, when they have the different versions of what their different missions that they're supposed to do, it made the most sense. Like these 4 Gundams seem like they complemented more than all the other Gundam teams did. Prior to the GAT series, before that, the Wing Boys, they were supposed to work as a team. The other ones, you never really got that feeling, or it just, because of the plot of the show, you didn't get to see that happen. And in this one, it's like, okay, these are 4 different Gundams that have 4 different specialities, but it all makes sense what they're doing. So that's what stood out to me.
Yeah, just real quick on that. Yeah, you had mentioned it, but it helps that they actually get to stay together because, Wing, the boys are all ostensibly on the same side, but they're kind of not.
Yeah.
You know, they're all doing their own thing, and then in Seed, you know, half of them get stolen, and so it's just like, okay. But this one, no, they get to work together, and you know, they all feel like they fit their roles. The Kyrios is kind of the one where it's like, okay, you're the anti-infantry one, so you're the one that gets to do the most war crimes. But yeah, but I mean, they all fit though, you know, they all fit with what they're doing. And yeah, I was just agreeing on that real quick.
So moving on to got a couple of things that came out in 2010, starting with Gundam Unicorn, which has as its designers Hajime Kotoke, of course, Junya Ishigaki, Yoshinori Sayama, who you don't see in anime too much, and Nobuhiko Genma, who I also don't recognize that much, so I'm assuming vehicles. You know, a lot of modernization in this series since it's set in 0096 and coming so close on the heels timeline-wise to Char's counterattack. So a lot of updates to that, like, you know, stuff like the Jegan Type D and, you know, updating the Nail Argama. In terms of the mobile suits, tons more mobile suits in this than in the novel because, of course, Bandai needs more variants and model kits. You know, the unicorns are, you know, good enough design. It's not among my favorite of the Gundams. What I really like more is some of these sort of like in-between updates to older suits like the Jesta, the Riesel, the Delta Plus.
Yeah, Delta Plus.
Yeah, I really like a lot of the variants of like older series getting some love, like the Gallus K and some of this other stuff. So there's a lot of cool updates, a lot of love for Double Zeta in this OVA adaptation. I will say the Neo Zeong is just unnecessarily excessive, and it's like where do these ragtag like losers who are now like the third and most diminished incarnation of Neo Zeon keep getting all this money to give Anaheim for monstrous mobile armors?
Well, to be fair, as I have read the novels, I now know where they got the money is the problem. Well, the problem is the novels have a lot more backstory going on. I mean, the thing is, they're secretly being funded by Side 3's new Earth government. Well, this comes up in what is it? Narrative brings it up because they decide in Narrative to kind of just re-add all the plot that they took out of Unicorn. I get why they cut it, but then I'm like, you know, it probably would have been helpful to have this stuff because the sleeves, if you're just watching like the OVA of Unicorn, are like, you start thinking about it, it's like, yeah, wait, what the fuck? Where are these guys getting bankrolled? Like, who is supporting them? And like, it's very implied it's just them supporting themselves, and which is not the case. You know, it's all like a dumb conspiracy because, you know, the guy writing the story is like Japan Tom Clancy guy, so he's like, it's actually a conspiracy because Side 3, you know, is bankrolling this because they're going to, like, you know, once we hit UC 100, their agreement with the Federation defaults, and so they're trying to undermine it, and, you know, just stuff like that they probably didn't have time for, given that they already had to extend the OVA once into a final episode that was longer than all the other episodes, and still was kind of like, oh, it's just ending, okay. Maybe they should have planned for it to be longer from the start, is my thought.
Kind of wish it did, yeah.
But yeah, it's the thing with this show is, like, I feel weird about it because in retrospect, I sometimes like roll my eyes at a lot of, like, you know, just, oh, we're just modernizing the designs, even though I know I like them ultimately. You know, I liked stuff like, especially like the Shamblo, like the original stuff I think is great. For like the mobile armor, the Shamblo is great. You know, you've got the various Jigen variants. Those are fun. The Delta Plus, as mentioned, is fun. I am not a huge fan of the Unicorn, but that's partially just from being overplayed in everything, you know? go to any Gundam related game, any Gundam related anything, and it's like, we're adding the unicorn, and I'm like, I just don't care. My main issue, I think, is this is the era where they really shackle Katoki into being the guy who just needs to update things, though, and make them, like, normal. And I think that's, like, the only time I get kind of down on Unicorn with the designs is I like Katoki when he gets to flex a bit more, and it feels a lot in Unicorn like, you know, hey, we want you to update this so it fits the modern aesthetic of what UC is, you know, with a lot of the old suits when they're coming back, or even with, like, the new designs. He's like, and I don't entirely blame him. A lot of that does feel like it's more what he was asked to do. Because when he's doing original stuff, it's great. You know, the Kshatriya is fucking cool. But
I get what you're saying, because the Katoki who gave us Unicorn itself and a lot of the suits in this show is not the same Katoki who gave us the Victory Gundam or the Master Gundam. Like, it's a very different era, a very different, like, quest that's being made of him to design.
Yeah, and, like, again, I feel bad saying is this, ultimately, I still like a lot of the suits. I think a lot of the updates look good. I think he's a good artist. But I do miss when he, you know, I like Sentinel era Katoki when he's just like, being a giant nerd and going, well, the show has all, you know, this stuff is established in the universe, so what if I put this, and this on it, and it's like this big bulky thing, and I love it. I love when he's, like, just kind of able to really go ham, and I feel like he doesn't get to go as hard, except then, you know, they have him design something like the Neo Zeong, where they're like, oh yeah, you can be excessive. Unfortunately, I just think the Neo Zeong sucks, so it doesn't appeal to me.
Does. Both of them.
You know? The Rosen Zulu is cool. The Kshatriya is cool. I like a lot of his designs ultimately, but yeah, I do start to feel like Unicorn is when I start getting set with this, like, I wish he got to flex more. And I would argue, you know, when we get, you know, later on, just kind of shouting it out now, given that it might not be able to be shouted out later, I might forget. You know, when he's doing stuff for Hathaway, I feel like he starts leaning back into some weirdness again. Like, at least, you know, the Cassie design he does is far closer to, like, the weird novel design of the Cassie than the, you know, what the modern one was for a while. And I like when he kind of gets to regress on that. But, yeah. Still good to look at, though. That's the thing with Unicorn. Ultimately, I have these complaints, but it's still great to look at. The mobile suits are cool looking.
Yeah.
The fights are great.
And they're well animated. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, you know, seeing the Unicorn statue in Japan was definitely an experience.
Oh, man, religious.
It was so freaking cool. Like, seeing that design given form, and that I think gave me a greater appreciation for the Unicorn design, seeing that statue.
So cool.
Yeah. Also, I had the problem of I built the Master Grade was like one of the first model kits I built, and that was a mistake because that model kit was not great at the time. And
it's so hard. I bought the same one.
The transformation is so complicated. Yeah. And it just makes
everybody else have anything
a pain.
I don't think I ever really finished that model build too. I think it's sitting in a closet somewhere. I think it's mostly built, but it wasn't a fun build to me.
Yeah, no. You know, me being like this is like my introduction to Gunpla building. I'm just like, oh man, I'm just so bad at building. Clearly, it is all my fault and not the model. And then I learned years later, no, this is kind of an infamous model for being like kind of fiddly, because it turns out having a full body panel-y transformation is kind of hard to do in 2009 on a model kit. So yeah.
I think for me, I'm not crazy about oversized mobile suits, but I have a soft spot for the Kshatriya, especially just the regalia of it, and the Banshee. The Banshee, it's, you know, the horn, the crown of horns that it has is something else. But I like the darkness. I like the color scheme and the sleekness of the design. I like it more than the unicorn, aka Optimus Prime, during the Olympics. But yeah. Those are probably my standout suits in this series.
I like the Jesta a lot.
Oh shit, it's a cool
Yeah,
one.
the Justice cool. The most cop-coded gym of all time, but
Yeah. Although we did get robbed of extra Jesta because they transformed the Ewok Jesta from the novel into an Ewok Jegan for the OVA.
Oh,
right. I forgot that the Ewok Jesta is actually in the novel. The thing's, I like the big hats. That's fun. The big hats are fun.
I know you like big hats and ray domes and those types of suits.
They're fucking cool. It's just,
they are cool.
I mean, the thing with them for me, and this is because I'm also like an 80s like mecha sicko, is I like when they've got all like the sensors and shit just out there, and that kind of like goes away in like the 90s, I feel like, and the aughts, but I like whenever they're there. You know, I like my Bubblegum Crisis fucking, this mech has like 10 antenna that open up or whatever.
Yeah. Electronic warfare Gundams or mobile suits.
Yeah.
Yahtzee in the chat noting that the Ewok Jesta is very similar to the Ewok Nero from Sentinel that was also designed by Katoki. So yes, there definitely is like an influence there, a lineage. So moving on, unless anybody has any other comments about Unicorn, to Gunpla Builders.
Oh.
Which has as its designers Kunio Okawara, Atsushi Shigeta, who does the main beginning Gundam, Kanetake Ebikawa, who's going to be a regular presence, and Junichi Akutsu, who is this time doing the cleanup duty on Shigeta's design. Not too much to say about these. It's a short series because it's just an ONA. It obviously kicked off. It's sort of like the grandpa to all of the build series that we would see across the 2010s, and it has a lot of fun. I love some of the dorky designs, like the low-rent Xeon Dendrobium of a Zaku sticking out of the mouth of a Zacrello. I think that's just hilarious, and that's just one of the most amusing designs ever in Gundam for me. The beginning is a pretty cool design. It stands out as being kind of different from everything we've seen before, and it's just some fun things in this, given that it's custom Gunpla rather than actual real military machines.
Yeah. Also, the thing about Shigeta is, especially when he gets to go ham on a design, and it's really funny because you can see it on like, I'm gonna link some more art. I'm sorry, I'm always linking art.
Oh no, you're good.
Like this is like a turn A art by him. He did a lot of like the cleanup on turn A and such, and like some of the promo stuff for turn A, as well as like brain powered. And it's really funny because when you see like the over detailed like designs he does for these like promo arts, and then you realize he does the beginning Gundam and the beginning 30. It's like, oh, okay, I can see this. I think the beginning like tends to like look worse when it's simplified, but then like when it's when I've seen like his art of it though, and like when there are bits of it in the show where I'm like, oh, this thing's really cool though. It's just really liney and detailed. But Shigeta's a good artist, and I wish he was still around a bit more for Gundam stuff.
Man.
But yeah,
it's a really cool rendition of the turn A right here. It's really nice.
But yeah, it's Gunpla Builders. It's fun. That's I mean it succeeds at what it's trying to do, right? Yeah. It's fun. The bear guy. Everyone loves the bear guy.
Yeah, that's where it started. That's what I was gonna name that, and the Hainu GPP color. I think that's I love that. This customization of it is really sleek. I dig it a lot. But I don't have much to say other than that.
Yeah. I will still argue, as I have for many years, the Gunpla Builders and then the build shows that succeeded it had a missed opportunity, because you see all these characters geeking out over Gundams and mobile suits from past shows. I really think they should have used these opportunities to seed new shows by having fake Gundams from shows that don't exist that kids are fans of, and if like the designs prove popular, then they could have made a real show out of it, and that's something that I really wish that they had done.
Oh,
and
that would have been interesting. Yeah,
nobody ever had that idea.
Like an impromptu focus group to find out what was
that's
popular from
actually-
this. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's actually something Kamen Rider has done.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh,
they've
really?
had they've had some of their anniversary shows. They have stuff where it's like, oh, and here are a bunch of future Kamen Riders, and it's like, you're test marketing here because one of these is actually going to become a show.
Yeah.
Well, it's a smart move, though. It'd be
Yeah.
an incredibly smart move because, yeah, what do you lose in a show like that? Okay, people are just mismatching kits together. So somebody just made this, and it's like, people, if it clicks with people, then yeah, maybe you got something there.
Yeah. No, I had never thought about that, but that would have been an interesting opportunity to take.
Because hey, the story's there. It's always Earth versus space, or so one or the other is subjugating the other. So
Yeah. But yeah, Gunpla Builders. Everyone forgets about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very slight. It's only 45 minutes, and I got the Blu-ray, which is already out of print and being
Ooh.
sold by people for ridiculous prices. So it's
Yeah.
like it just came and went that fast in America. Like it's just you blink and you miss it. Anybody else have any comments about Gunpla Builders?
no.
No, good to go.
So, folks, it's already midnight, and we're only up to 2011
Woohoo!
with Gundam Age.
Yeah.
What would you all say? We do Gundam Age and call it there, and then we do a part 2 to get through,
Yes.
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 I think
everything
yeah.
else up to the present, because there's no way we're gonna.
No, we'll be here till 2 in the
there's
morning.
no way.
Holy shit.
No, I
to leave off on.
I think that's a great that's a great to be continued. So yeah, absolutely. By the way, what is this a picture of that you put in the in the chat?
These are the mecha from Brain Powered. These are also drawn by Atsushi Shigeta here. They're not originally his designs, but he did a lot of promo art for that show as well. So
so
we should throw in
intricate.
Yeah, they
more.
were Nagano, right?
Yeah, Nagano did these originally, but
Wow.
then Shigeta did a bunch of these really fancy promotional art pieces that are real nice. So
Fantastic.
I'll throw that in here.
It's been so long since I've watched Brain Powered, but thank you for posting this. This is super cool.
So Gundam Age from 2011 also got an OVA re-edit called Memory of Eden. So the main designers on this are Kanetake Ebikawa, who did pretty much everything on the Earth Federation, Kenji Teraoka, who did some other faction designs, and then Junya Ishigaki, who did all of the Vegans. And what's notable about Age immediately is that it's the first mainline Gundam series at this point in nearly 20 years to have absolutely no designs by Okawara in it at all.
Oh wow.
And
Really?
this is something that you're going to see more of as time goes on through the 2010s and the 2020s, that Okawara starts to be relegated to build shows, and this next generation really takes over on the mainline shows, with Freedom being kind of an exception of him being back in the spotlight, but that's due to it, having such a long gestational period.
Yeah.
But even with Okawara not being present, you can still feel his influence in Ebikawa's designs. You look at the Age 1, it's just the latest incarnation of doing an RX-78. The four good guy Gundams in Age are basically Ebikawa doing a tour of MSG through Char's counterattack, and you can directly correlate Age 1 to RX-78, Age 2 to the Zeta, Age 3 to the Double Zeta, and then Age FX to the new. Designs. They're sleek. They are modern. I like some of the grunt designs, like the Adels and the Genoese. And then, even though I really don't care for the story of this show at all, the Vegans have such an interesting design aesthetic because they did not go the route of having Xeon stand-ins, and these designs are so weird, and a lot of them, particularly designs like the Gaffrin and the Dorado, kind of have like a tokusatsu look to them.
Yes.
Like they almost look like you could see like it's a dude in a rubber suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so odd, but I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Ishigaki is actually like a kind of a background like designer that I really like, that is not like always like up there in the front lines, but I think his work on the Vegan suits is really good. I loved his work in Victory is the thing also. He did a lot of
He also did a lot of good stuff in X.
Yeah. A lot of the weirdos in X, like especially towards the middle, are him. Did the Magma Axe is another one by him in from Wing. But yeah, like age is such an interesting thing for me, because when I think about the show, I like the grunts and I like the Vegan suits a lot. I'm not as big a fan of the ages in the show in terms of what packs they use, like for the age 1. And that's mainly because I played the video game, and the video game has so many more, and they're really fucking cool, and I'm sad that they didn't animate them.
Well, they did add the Swordia for the OVA.
Yeah, but there's so many in the game.
That's
is
just
the
one.
thing.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. Like, one of the things with age that I think is interesting is, like, I mean, it's very video gamey even in the show. He has a giant 3D printer that makes parts for him like whenever he needs an upgrade. And specifically from analyzing enemy data, which is to say he beats an enemy and they drop materials. It's very video gamey in a way that I think is the game. If I remember right, I believe the game was actually what was originally planned, and then the show was kind of like we may as well do this kind of thing.
Yes, Level 5 proposed the game first, and then Sunrise liked the idea and said, hey, why don't we make an anime as well?
An anime that was meant to be like 100 and something episodes too, fucking funnily enough.
Wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was originally going to be like what is it, like 8 core total?
Yeah.
And
obviously
then,
did not happen.
Yeah. Obviously, did not happen.
Yahtzee, why you gotta bring up the flying lemon? Like, what?
It's just flying lemon.
Okay, yeah, no, the fuck that Ishigaki does for the show, I will not let it paint all the other designs as bad for me, though. Look, he had the one bad one. I'll accept that, but I think the rest of the vegan designs are great.
Yeah, the lemon is literally a lemon, like unintended. It's not a good design.
But yeah,
although
like,
the Gundamn Golden Perfect is a slightly better version from the MSVs of H.
Alright, I'm gonna throw from the game here. Like, here's like all the wares you can get for like the age 1 that aren't in the show, just from like the art book here that I have. And like there are so many, like, and in the show they kind of just go for doing 2 melee ones. It's got the big punchy Titus, and then you have the fast stabby one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, but the game has so many other weird ones, that are like gun based and whatnot, or like defensive. And I get that, you can't write all of them into the show. I get it, but I
do like the later age. Sorry, the later age updates, like the Glanza and the full Glanza. I think those are pretty good as far as not exactly like mission packs like at the beginning, but it looks cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
No, I agree. Yeah, the full Glanza and all that are pretty cool. Overall in the show, like, it's just funny. I think the wares in the show just ended up being a little bit more underwhelming, but in the game they get so many more, so there's a lot more for, you're like, oh, this one's cool or whatever. Linking 2 more pages real quick. The second page is mostly like age 2 forms that are only in the games.
Hell yeah.
And side material.
That's my favorite age. The second one, the Dark Hound specifically, but these are pretty slick. I like some of the customs for the age 2 here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of this art is very, like, concept art. Like, you could tell, like, some of them don't have armor on the other half, but they are technically all, like, symmetrical,
Yeah.
It's just, for art purposes, they have them, split down the middle. But yeah, there's a lot of fun ones. And I think that these are a lot more fun just because, like, you know, it's just there's a lot of variety to them overall. The thing with the Age though is that while I think it's got good designs, it is also painted by. I just don't like the show very much.
Yeah, that's the big downer.
Yeah.
It had potential though.
Great designs, not great show.
Yeah, this story needed a lot of help,
Yeah.
and I wish it took more chances, and I also wish they spent more time like just making the world make sense, because there were certain elements of the story that they just had you take a leap of faith in certain things, and ultimately, man, if that had a better story, I think it would have been a legendary Gundam series. But here we are.
It has good designs, like you said.
Without
the vegan stuff is just really bizarre, and that's an interesting way that you said it, Chris, because I didn't think about that when I watched this show, but yeah, it does seem like it's tokusatsu, and you feel like going back and looking at it, it's like, yeah, it does seem like
I never thought that, but then it makes all sense. It never looks like a man wearing a Gundam cosplay or something, and it's you can see the guy in there as opposed to the way Gundam or Mecha normally looks in Gundam. So yeah, that's.
I'm just saying that the vegans should have been giant dragon people, and not humans. It would have been so much better.
Cool. Yeah,
it would have been so much better.
You said it.
Oh yeah, that would have made the story. That would have made the show legendary. It's like they're completely different, but no, it's like no, they're humans.
No, it's just they're just people, and it's like that's the easy twist. We were already guessing that, you know.
Yeah.
Like you gotta swing for the fence if you're gonna present it as a mystery, even if this is like, you know, level 5, because level 5 co-production, and this is meant to be more of a younger age show. I get it.
Younger age, hey, but I'm
who knew? But yeah, like it just would have been more fun had they done like some more swinging for the fences with it. Ultimately, it just kind of falls into being kind of forgettable by the end of it. But yeah, sick mobile suit designs, and the game is pretty fun. I think back in the day where I was using Imager, I had beat the game before the show had finished, so I had actually posted some of the designs that were, near the end of the show, just like, posted them on Imager, and that was like my most viewed album, because I had, the game had come out, I think, like 2 weeks before the end of the show, 1 or 2 weeks. And yeah, and then the game is not very long, as Yazi said, in the chat. The game did spoil the anime before the anime ended, because
way to go.
You're totally able to beat it before then, which I just think is interesting.
Show being lizards.
I think it would be probably more well remembered if it was just a game, because the show, the show also was rushed for obvious reasons. If they planned it to be fucking 8 cores and they got taken down to 4, even though 50 episodes is still a lot of anime.
Oh yeah,
there's got to be a lot of rushing still. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's Age though. It's more Ebikawa though. I like his designs for all the Age Gundams and the Adele and the Clanch and all the other ones I can't remember the names of at the moment. They're all great.
I do like seeing him reinterpret a lot of these, UC designs, and one of the things that really sticks out for me is I am not a fan of the Double Zeta's design. I think it's just too busy. It's over-designed. I really don't care for it, especially compared to Zeta. I know I said on Mechanista that I feel like that the Lindworm custom feels like Double Zeta more than the Double Zeta. When I look at Ebikawa's Age 3 normal, like somehow this design like cleans up the Double Zeta and gets rid of all of the things about the Double Zeta that I don't like, and I can appreciate the type of design that the Double Zeta is more in the Age 3 normal.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But keep always. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I would say you like it because it's not the Double Zeta and it gets rid of all the charm points of the Double Zeta.
Hey man, we'll always have the Tryon 3, all right?
Look, Judo is an interesting character, but like Double Zeta itself is just like, it's just.
No, I totally get the Double Zeta being a divisive like design. I used to not like it. I came around on it when I built the Verka. But like the Age 3 like has a similar silhouette, but I don't think it has any of the same charm points.
I do like it still, but I do like the Age 3, but it's a weird thing because I think the thing that I like about the Double Zeta is it kind of also in fact that it's a hunk of junk of way too much that is only held together by judo, basically. And
I guess the thing for me is
makes it
progression
fun.
of Age 2 to Age 3, like I think matches more than the progression of Zeta to
Double Zeta.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I
There's
can see.
There's a missing link of Zetas.
Yes,
Like,
without a doubt.
there's like a 0.5 Zeta that should have been in there.
If it wasn't called the Double Zeta, would you maybe like it more, Chris? I'm curious.
Possibly because
if it wasn't meant
I would
to
not
be
be
like
judging it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be judging it so much against the Zeta.
Okay. See,
But it
because
had-
I
but
am
it had
realizing
cool-
It might be a bit of a branding thing, but like it still has just too many elements for me. So I feel like I would still be judging it, even if it were called something else, like Omega Gundam, for instance. But maybe a little bit less than it being called Double Zeta.
Mhm.
But
I
it
just
had
was
cool,
curious.
drum-based transformation music, though. It did have that. I
It
like
did.
that.
I will say the stock footage for the Double Zeta combining is pretty good. But I mean,
It is.
also,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
also this is Sunrise
you-
mid '80s. It looks great. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
And you
super
get to
Lighting up,
memorize it.
that
You
realistic
saw it
high.
every episode.
yeah. This is true.
Sometimes twice in an episode.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think the Age 3 normal is cool. The only one that really falters for me out of the ages overall, like just as a design, is I think the Age FX is
Yeah.
kind of bland.
Same.
And even that isn't like entirely the Age FX's fault because I've seen versions of it where I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. I just think in animation the green surfboards on it don't look great.
I like the C Funnels version of it better from MSV, but like it's definitely not an improvement over the new.
Yeah. Now, again, just always have to point out like models and whatnot. But here, throwing this in the chat, the Metal Robot Spirits of the Age FX, I think, looks fucking sick. And part of that is the colors are a little bit more understated. Like the green is more, the green has more blue on the surfboard funnels, and also they're a lot smaller actually on this.
Yeah, that does look
Oh,
good. Man.
It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, when you stylize the design, I think it looks great. And the colors are really neat because it like omits the red from the tricolor, and I think that's like an interesting place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, you know, just getting the blue and white is neat. But yeah, just as it is though in the show, I was like, not as impressed. But
Yeah.
other things made me like it more, so. The complexity of being way too into also like merchandise is like, oh man, I have opinions that very much depend on how this is depicted.
Well, that's the problem with this stuff. Is like you said, it can look so much better in merchandise than it does in actually the source material, like the anime or the movie it's coming out of, and yeah.
That's the thing. But yeah. All right. That would be all I have on Age, though, I think.
Also throw a shout out to, as far as enemy units go, Ishigaki's Gundam Legolas. Really nice design in terms of bridging Gundam aesthetics with pagan designs, and you know, even though it's completely wasted on that idiot Zehart, it's a really
doubt.
cool Gundam and a very atypical Gundam.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Just the vegan suits are all great, and yeah, the Legolas trying to combine those two aesthetics is pretty good. Well, okay, vegan suits are all great minus the girdle in, but whatever. Look, they can't all be winners.
Gotta have a bad one. It's off day. Off day when you were designing them, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody else have any comments on Age before we close out part 1 now of 21st century Gundam Mecha designs?
Yeah, I guess this is the part. It's a two-parter. Yeah. Cliffhanger,
So,
right?
Yes, in
Is this the mid-season cliffhanger?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll pick up with Build Fighters and go all the way through G-Quux.
We should also go back around to Freedom because we did not talk about Freedom all that much.
Well, I meant, yeah.
Yeah, we completely forgot to talk about it.
We're gonna talk about Freedom in context and its proper chronological point. I just got tired of talking about Seed for so long.
No fucking doubt.
We spent so much time on Seed.
We got a lot of mileage.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a feeling out process.
Yes.
We gotta, figure out how long we want to talk about the shows. It's like, shit, right? We have like a time limit because this is,
it's rich subject matter. So if anything, I'm glad we got a lot of discussion out of it for the most part, and I'm looking forward to resuming this conversation.
Seed is a charged topic. that universe, Cosmic Era, is a charged topic.
Because I got a lot to say about IBO when we get to it, so I just can't wait to get into that. But that's something to look forward to.
All right.
Well, I would like to say, thank you to Dylan and Six from Mechanista joining us once again, and for having me on your show a couple of times. It's always been a pleasure to talk shop with y'all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
I just like talking about robots places. I don't even have to be on a caller for a thing. I bother everyone about robots all the goddamn time, so this is just like my default state of being.
Hell yeah.
Don't give this guy your number. He's gonna track you down.
I don't know what Gundam is. This is a Wendy's. What would you like to order?
Yes,
exactly.
Oh my goodness.
But it was fun. So.
But yeah,
definitely.
If you guys haven't done it yet, please visit scanlightmedia.com and check out both Six and Dylan. Check them both out over there. You can find them on Blue Sky at 6detmar.bsky.social and lowpolyrobot.bsky.social. Over on Blue Sky, we don't do that X bullshit here. So we definitely don't. So go there, bookmark the website if you want to keep up with the podcast as well. Six and Dylan, do you have anything to add or any other sites that people should check out?
No, I think you covered it. Six, anything from you?
If you check out the latest episode of Mechanista, occasionally we take listener requests, and our listeners like to torture us. So it's going to be solar cars.
Mm-hmm.
If you check in next week, we're doing some SDs. So
nice.
that's back to Gundam.
Oh shit! Preview for everyone, yeah.
But is talking solar cars worse than talking beans?
Well, it's so funny you fucking mentioned that, Chris. Because I believe at the end of the solar car episode, all the episodes start to run in my head a little just because we record so many. Six, didn't we talk about more bean cans last week?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I say we, like the listeners torture us. I'm extremely lying. It's just Dylan. I'm just laughing as Dylan suffers.
Real quick backstory. Real quick on it. Whole thing started because I had brought up like, oh yeah, I'll talk about anything on the show seriously. I want to be sincere when talking about stuff. And anyway, that comes with someone being a smartass and submitting cans of beans. And now Six occasionally will just end an episode with, hey, by the way, Dylan, it's bean time. And then I have to sit there and try to analyze a can of beans like I do with Mecha. And I said I would. I can't. I don't want to go back on my word. It's just it's just a recurring nightmare for me though.
You should talk to us about the audience requests. I think we kind of stopped that a long time ago.
Yeah. We don't listen to our audience. We dictate to them.
We
Never.
dictate to them.
Jesus.
All right.
Or just
but,
because it was at one point it was like, when are you guys going to talk about Zoids? When's Chris going to put Zoids on MAHQ? Okay,
when's Evangelion gonna be up there?
Hey,
oh my God, which we finally did.
We made progress.
Oh my God,
took damn near 20 years.
What an in-joke that was. The original dogma of the show was we were never going to talk about it because at that point when we started, I was like, what more can anybody say about this show? And then then we had a show where we had stand-ins for us that sat there and did the April Fool's thing basically on people. Then we started doing all the all the rebuilds and all that stuff that they were doing. And then finally we're just saying, fuck it, we're just gonna review the original show. Screw it.
So Chris, I'm looking at MAHQ right now, and I like what you've done with the site, but I'm noticing that you don't have a section for Gunsword, and you don't have a section for Zia Rhymer. So you better get on that.
Oh damn!
See, you don't have to listen.
The gauntlet's
you don't
been
have to
thrown.
listen to the audience, but I'm on the show. I can make any
you're
requests I
dictating
want.
to Chris what to do. Have you
If
not
you
been on
provide me the
4chan?
stuff, I might think about it. You know.
Oh, see, no, I don't want to do this because now it's gonna be the onus will be on me to find the books since I usually do.
Yeah, you just got yourself some work there, buddy.
You gave me so much homework with Votomes with those those 2 art books that I'm still like wrapping that up now, like almost 2 months later. So
yeah,
Those
Chris is
books
gonna
were-
go.
you already got your quota.
Chris is gonna go all J. Jonah on you. He's like, all right, you're gonna have to give that stuff to me at the end of next week.
I gotta check to see if you have Mellolink's gun in here somewhere. I'm to look at Votoms right now. If you guys, for those who don't know, throughout this entire episode, you probably have been seeing me click through all sorts of different sections on MAHQ. If you want information on your favorite mobile suit, make sure to go to mahq.net. It is a bountiful resource of line art for mecha anime. Your favorite models of mobile suits and mecha are on the website for most shows. There are a few that are missing. If you're looking for Zoids, I'm gonna have to tell you to keep on walking. But everything else you'll be able to find there, including Votoms, which I'm at right now. And it's robust.
No doozy bots.
Oh, no doozy bots. I'm sorry.
No doozy bots for Yazi.
You're gonna have to pack that up.
I do have one announcement to make.
Go for it.
Our cliffhanger will have to go on for a little while because next episode we have a different special guest joining us, and that special guest is Mark Simmons.
Yo!
Oh.
Yes! All right.
Hell yeah.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
I never talked to him before. What does he know about guys?
He's a mystery
I
man.
don't think he knows anything, does he? I've never heard of this guy.
So we'll have our people get with your people, and we will get on part 2 kind of soon. We'll need to do the scheduling because also for our listeners, we're going to be starting up soon the 5 episodes. The episodes with Pedro talking about things in years ending with 5. So watch for 1985 pretty soon.
Yes.
Yeah, we started in the 80s. We don't go.
We don't go any further back than the 80s because that's too much.
Yeah. Have to ask Mark. Man, I'm trying to think. I was like, do I have any dumb translation related question I could ask? No, not right now.
Ping me if you think of something, and we'll pass it along.
Yeah, we'll pass it to him.
No, it's fine. Mostly I was thinking of it as a shitpost, just because I remember being back on the forums way back when, just being like, "Hey, Mark, how do you feel about this translation or whatever?" God, but yeah. Back in the fucking ancient era of 2010 and being on forums.
Yeah, that's a lifetime ago, and you know what? It's like here we are, kind of back to forums because the 1 or 2 social media sites that we decided are all that exist are now full of Nazis. So I'm about forums.
It's time to,
what about that?
Time to run it back.
What about that? But I will say, what about that Blue Sky, man? It's like
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it's a good vibe there, man.
It's like 2011 again.
But it's good vibes Twitter.
Yeah. It's what Twitter was for like a minute back in 2008.
So that's where the bird went.
That's where the bird went. Yes.
When he raced out of out of Auschwitz, he found
transformed into a butterfly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But
mid-season upgrade.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Dylan and Six, for joining us, and thank you, Sobro and Chris, for joining us. Thank you myself for joining us. But yeah, we're going to just say thank you, everybody, for joining us on this. Unfortunately, this went a little long, but there will be a cliffhanger part 2. This will be like what is it? This is the best of both worlds, part 2. We just took over the ship.
Yes.
We just took over.
Fire.
We just exactly.
See you after the summer.
Yeah, exactly. It won't be that long.
No, it won't.
That was extremely long. But thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll be back in a few weeks with another episode of Gundam. And thank you.
Yeah.
Later.